I'm finna say something very, very, very. It would be borderline controversial, right? It may ruffle some feathers.
Mhm.
The way the government had a systematic approach of removing the black father out of the home so they can then manipulate and control the black family is no different than what the music industry does to remove the black record executives out of the situation so they can manipulate and control black music.
Yo, what's good? We Create Music TV family. This is your man Vaughan here. Welcome to the Indie Unplugged. Today we have an amazing guest. We have Derrick McKinney, who we're going to be introduced to. So before we even welcome Derrick, I always got to read the bio, right? Got to give that strong intro, and then we'll welcome Derrick. We give him the hands up, the claps. But let me tell you a little bit about Derrick. Derrick McKinney is the visionary founder and CEO of L.O.U.D Muzik. He has carved a remarkable niche in the music and entertainment industry. His career took off as a regional marketing representative at FUBU, which I didn't know that. That's dope. And he quickly ascended to influential roles, collaborating with major labels and fashion brands. As a national marketing director for Headgear Sportswear, Derrick drove significant growth, increasing annual revenue from 8 million to 22 million. That's a feat in and of itself. His adeptness in digital marketing and artist management shone through notable projects, including the gold certified album Black Panties by R. Kelly and the successful single Whatever You On by London on the Track. At L.O.U.D Muzik, he has nurtured talents like Tim Ned and managed local legendary artists. Now, we're gonna get into this because I interviewed Nick Fury, who made the beat and Game Over for Lil Flip. So he manages Lil Flip and Zero, while also launching initiatives like L.O.U.D Fest and L.O.U.D Radio and Press Junket to elevate indie artists. Now, this was the one right here, ladies and gentlemen. Derrick has been recognized by Black Enterprise as one of the top 100 men of color in the country. In the country, ladies and gentlemen. Derrick McKinney has earned a well-deserved spot in their Modern Men of Color campaign, underscoring his impactful leadership and innovation in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Derrick McKinney to the Indie Unplugged.
Man, I know that I might have done something, man. Make me sound
Hey,
important over there.
hey, brother, you've done a lot, my guy.
No,
You
man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it.
so let's kind of set the context of the interview. Um, September 5th, which is a great day. It's a great day because that day is my birthday, right?
Okay, okay,
September 5th, 2016.
okay.
What happened that day?
Whoa, wait a minute. Refresh my memory.
Ooh,
2016.
September 5th, 2016. It was the inaugural Loud Fest show.
So, so what we did was
About that.
we got rejected
Mm,
by almost every festival.
mm,
There was a really big festival in Houston called Free Press Summerfest.
mm-hmm,
Wouldn't return our phone calls, wouldn't return our emails or anything. So at the time, my buddy Drew owned a venue called Fox Hollow, the hottest spot on a Sunday, starting from like 2 p.m. on all night long. So I said, listen, I want to do an indie artist festival here. I'm gonna have 100 artists perform. Um, you know, everybody going to get like a 8 to 10 minute set and the whole nine. And he was like, cool, let's do it. We had a flyer designed, we had banners, excuse me, we had DJs, everything. And so that first year we had 100 artists perform. We probably had about 300 people attend. And
mm,
that was including the artists. So everybody brought maybe one or two people, which for us, I was just happy we pulled it off.
mm,
And that was the first year, man. And then we hit all the we hit all the bumps in the road. We had all of the naysayers,
mm,
but it sparked a light in me because I finally found a gateway to help indie artists like really get. At that time, we didn't realize how important getting content was,
Mm,
but getting photos, getting videos, and being able to perform original music on a festival and be on a flyer
right.
and be able to invite their family and friends out. So it was really, really cool, man. And it was the start of something great. And it it really helped spread our name around the city
Mhm.
because it's not often you have record companies giving other artists opportunities that's not a part of their label.
Right, right. So here's why. So first of all, Loud Fest is dope. But
Thank you.
here's why I bring it up. So September 5th, 2016, I flew from St. Louis, where I was living at the time. I live in Atlanta now,
Okay.
to Houston, Texas, and I took a Uber to Fox Hollow.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yes, sir. I took an Uber to Fox Hollow because I have a friend, Ashton, who
Mhm.
performed me that night, and she was like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
Ashton Mayes.
yeah, you should come.
Yeah.
You should come down and come be a part of it." I was like, "Bet," but it goes back further than that. So I ended up when Loud Fest was first being put on. I remember getting in contact with a gentleman by the name of Derrick McKinney,
Okay.
who was looking for sponsors
Uh-huh.
for the first one, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll put my hat in. Like, let me know what I got to do to be a sponsor, right?" And this was when We Create Music TV first started, got its first start. And I remember Derek sent me a flyer and had little We Create Music TV logo on it. And I was like, look at that. Like, we help him be a part of something. And so
Yeah.
now, granted, I remember because I have I'm like, I remember a lot of stuff. But do I
Really.
expect other people to remember? No, I don't. But that's why I bring context back up. And I remember that. It was Ashton. It was Tim performed, Jay Tronius. Now I remember
Yeah.
Tronius because he had this crazy oh, it was Jay Tronius. I was like, oh, he had a crazy intro. Had a whole
Anybody who ever sees him perform that song, they never forget him.
never forget. I never forgot it. That's why.
Mhm.
Oh. But that was the inaugural. That was like the kickoff for at that time, my first introduction to you and your organization, the great things that you were getting ready to do, and I followed your trajectory ever since that time. I want to kind of dig into a lot of those things that you've been doing, and I've watched how you started Loud Fest and Loud Music, and now it is exponential. Um,
Man, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that.
so kind of give us the backstory. Yeah, absolutely, brother. Kind of give us the backstory of you getting into music and what led up to you starting Loud Music and Loud Fest and your trajectory.
Okay, so me and my homeboys from high school, my brothers, my best friends, we would go out to all the clubs in Houston, and we weren't even old enough to get in. And one night we was at a club, man, and a guy put a bunch of flyers on my mother's car window, and I was like, "Man, bro, why you putting all these flyers on the window?" And he was like, "Man, give me like 600-700 bucks a week each one." So I did the math. I'm like, so this guy's making over 5 grand a week to pass off all of this stuff.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, cool. So I grabbed all the flyers off the window. I went home and called them. And I said, I can do this for $300 a week. I had like two or three of them give me a shot. And here we are, me and my homeboys, getting into all the clubs free, making money, passing out flyers, getting T-shirts. That led to us meeting the owners of the Kappa Beach Party, and then we were able to help promote for the Kappa Beach Party. And I was never afraid. So
Mm,
at the time, Platinum FUBU was huge out here.
mm.
Everybody had the Fat Albert shirts on and everything. And one year at the Kappa Beach Party, everybody had knockoff Kappa Beach Fat Albert T-shirts, theme shirts. So I looked up the number to FUBU 212-273-3300. Called them and said, "Hey, I'm working with this event out here in Texas. 200,000 black college students, and everybody's wearing platinum FUBU." They didn't believe me, so I sent them pictures of VHS and everything, and that's how I was able to actually get all the owners of FUBU to come out to the event. They brought their staff, they brought their artists. And that Sunday, when it was time to leave, Damon John, he was like, "Hey, young buck, call your mom. You coming back to New York with us?" And
Mm,
that led to me being able to work with FUBU.
wow.
And it just, I ain't gonna even lie and try to say that there was like some formula, nothing. Marketing and promotions and dealing with people in the music industry and fashion industry, it just came so natural to me.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't anything that I studied or learned at the time. It just took to it immediately. And I've always been able to speak to people. I've always been able to hold conversations and negotiate. And I was the kid selling the Halloween candy at school to the kids who couldn't go trick or treating. Um,
Wow.
and so it has,
Hold on.
yeah,
So you were selling free candy?
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I was a negotiator, man. Like
Mhm.
I've always had a love shoes. So I would tell all my aunts and uncles, like, look, for my birthday, if everybody just give me $20, I can get the Jordans and the matching shirt that I want. So I've always negotiated, man. It's always been one of the things for me. So the music industry and the fashion industry or entertainment industry, period, it just came really, really natural to me, man.
Y
And I was good at it.
Yeah, so why do you think it came natural?
So I think it's because my love of music. Like everybody has the stories of cleaning up on Saturday mornings listening to music, but nah, really, my mom bought Tupac All Eyes on Me, but she was also listening to Shirley Murdoch
Mhm.
and Karen White. And my dad was listening to Hall and Oates and Phil Collins and the Gap Band and so I've always my I come from a very large family where my aunts and uncles on my dad's side, I think it was seven, and on my mom's side it was nine.
Mhm. That's kinda mine.
Yeah. See, and my parents, they met like when my dad was in the eighth grade and my mom was in the seventh grade. So all my aunts and uncles on both sides grew up together.
Pretty much mine.
Middle school teams, high school teams, neighborhoods, the whole nine. So every weekend there was a birthday party for like six, seven people, and it was always music. So I was just always drawn to it, man. I used to get the Right On magazines, and
Mhm.
they would always have the Newmark DJ equipment in the back.
Sure.
And I was writing out business proposals to see if I can talk my aunts and uncles to going in and purchasing the DJ equipment for me so I
That's
could start DJing. I knew I was going to be in the music business, man. A friend of mine a few years ago on Facebook, um, I hadn't seen her since second grade, from San Antonio. And she was like, I remember in second grade, you said you were going to own a record company. And I was like, damn. Like
wow.
I it was something that I've always wanted to do. And I didn't have any family in music or entertainment or anything like that. I just always wanted to be a record company owner. I wanted to be a record executive.
What was it that drew you to being a record executive or label owner? What was it about that type of uh, organization structure that or environment that drew you to that?
So I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I never had a desire to work for anybody. I never said I'm gonna grow up and be a fireman. I'm gonna grow up and have this job. I
Mm,
always knew I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna own a company. Um, and we were in the studio one day, and I was supposed to do a marketing deal for a record company, and they was like, "Well, nah, man, we heard that you really couldn't do what you said you could do, so we're gonna go with this other guy." I was like, "Okay, cool."
huh,
They went with the other guy. The other guy robbed them for like 10 grand, didn't do any of the work and stuff. And at that time, I was in the studio with Tim Ned. And I was just like, man, bro, I am so sick and tired of trying to convince people
right.
who I am or what I can do. I was tired of like stressing trying to make other people rich. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna have this stress regardless. I'd rather do it for myself.
Hmm.
And so I told Tim, like, man, let's start a record company. I'll be the CEO, you be the artist. You take care of the music, I take care of the business. And I already had connections from fashion and doing marketing for albums and stuff. So I was like, now instead of me wanting to be the greatest A&R for another label, let me just build my own label.
Right. Now that makes sense, right? Instead of doing it for somebody else,
Yeah.
especially if you have the skill sets that's within you to do it. You see, not a
Right.
lot have the a lot of people want to do it, and not a lot of people have the skill sets to do it, or the discipline, or the financial backing, or whatever it may be, to actually do
And
it.
like 15 years ago, entrepreneurship wasn't as cool as it is today.
It's cool today.
It's so cool today because anybody can start a company with an Instagram account, and now they're a business owner, they're an entrepreneur, and they tell you what you should be doing and buy this ebook and stuff. So at the time, it wasn't like, my mom thought I was batshit crazy when I wanted to do the music business. But then, um, so I was working for Shell Oil and their computer programming staff, like fresh out of high school.
Mm,
And I one day I looked around, I saw all the guys that were in the room, old, bald, 300 pounds, cans of Coca-Cola, beef jerky, chips, and I was like,
right. Like, that ain't me.
this is not me. And so I quit. And my mom was like, "You quit to pass out flyers, you quit to hang out." And she was livid every day, every day. And then one day, UPS knocked on the door and a whole bunch of CDs and posters and everything filled up the living room. And it was an envelope with a check for $15,000 in it.
Mm,
And so I was like, "Yeah, they're paying me this to pass this out. And in 30 days, they're going to do it again. And in 30 days, they're going to do it again."
mhm,
She hasn't questioned me since.
mm, mm.
It just, I knew. And even in hindsight, I don't know what made them people give me $15,000.
Well, obviously they saw right.
You know, like
So
there was no prerequisite. I didn't have anything that showed or said, "Hey,
well,
you
so here's the question. Um, in that story, was that the story of the person putting the flyers on your mom's car, and then you reaching out to them, say, hey, now I can do this, and there had to be some type of something they saw, some type of proof, and it doesn't always have to be tangible proof.
right,
I think that's what we look for, is tangible proof. But sometimes there's an intangible proof that we see in other people that go, I know that person can do what I'm about to ask them to do. Whether that's your drive, your ambition, whether that's your business sense, whether that's your innovative and creative mind. People, there's always that intangible piece that will gravitate towards somebody to say, "Hey, I think that's the one." And that's probably why. How old were you when they started sending you that?
um, I was probably 20, 21.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was
So,
probably
so
21. Yeah, I was early. It was early. Yeah, it was early.
saw I mean, when you think about FUBU, right? I mean, if I understand the story of FUBU correctly, they were working at like Red Lobster and a couple
Oh,
other
yeah.
right?
Keith was an apartment manager, apartment locator. Jay was in the Navy. I forgot what Carl was doing. Yeah, and Dane was making clothes in his mom's basement.
Right.
So man, that was my college experience working for those guys. I
Mm,
learned I learned so much about just, I won't say actual business. I learned how to handle people in business.
mm. What's the difference?
And so they didn't teach me X's and O's of this is how you do paperwork.
Okay.
They taught me how to read the culture. They taught me how to read people. They told me how to handle people with the same respect that you want.
Mm,
Um, I mean, we were in St. Louis one time, man, and
hey,
we I would see, yeah, we actually went to the Earth, Wind and Fire concert um in St. Louis. It was like some big outdoor amphitheater auditorium spot, and we went to the mall and they were in there shopping, and Jay was buying every color Lacoste polo with matching bucket hat, and
mm,
Keith was buying white on white Air Force Ones for the whole team. And then there was other people in the store that was just so happy to see the owners of FUBU. And they was like, well, you get this and you get that. And they was just always so humble, so gracious. Um, if they're taking the pictures, they're signing the autographs, they're hanging out at the barbershops, they going to the restaurants. True story, man. And we laughed about this a couple of years ago. When FUBU came in town, they flew into Houston for the Kappa Beach party. I picked up two of the owners of FUBU and one of the artists that was no two of the owners of FUBU and Darnell, who was the marketing director. It
Mm.
was me, Keith Perrin, Carl Braille, and Darnell Sessions in my mom's Dodge Neon. And I'm not realizing, like, yo, I'm a kid driving their mother's car with the owners of FUBU.
Right.
Yeah, $300-400 million a year sitting in the car, and we're on our way to Papa Do's to eat. And so it's very rare that you meet guys who were at the height of the fashion industry
Right. I
that
mean,
just didn't care.
who
Like,
not wearing FUBU back in the day?
oh
Come on.
man,
I mean,
it
if
it was a beautiful thing, man.
if you weren't wearing Pele Pele, right? I had some there. I had a
Yeah,
shirt Pele all down the side and
yeah,
some
yeah.
shoes. Then get the FUBU with a nice pants with the big, the FUBU logo on the back, FUBU on your chest, FUBU hat. Oh, who wasn't?
See, I always liked they always had the FUBU circle or the platinum FUBU that would have a
Mm,
small logo or something. And I asked, I was like, and I noticed the owners, you never saw the owners wearing the gaudy stuff with
Hollywood.
all the logos and everything.
Yeah.
My dog is going
Yeah.
crazy. You never saw that. And they was like, well, they make the things that they like to buy or like to wear, but also they understand a lot of the consumers at the time, they wanted the logos. They wanted it to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why they would have the shirt that would have the name all over it and the jeans with the name all over it and everything. So I mean, and the beauty of it all, man, I still can pick up the phone and call those guys to this day. They came out to the Loud Radio and Press Junket, and when Carl's come to Houston working on his project, I still link up and pick him up from the airport, and we move around. So um,
Let's get
it's
that.
been, yeah, man, it's super dope, and they haven't changed not one bit.
No matter how much money you get, and I think that's what I like most about people that start kind of at least start in environments where they don't really have much, and then they come into it, and but their ego and their mentality is always in check. They're humble. It's always right. And
Yeah,
a lot of people who, well, not I don't want to say like a lot of people, but usually if I run into somebody and they are of that caliber, they're super humble. It's what's crazy to me is the people who are not at that caliber, that's super ego, they're egotistical and they got a big head. And I'm like,
100%. 100%, man. Like, I can. There's been some guys that I've met that I wish I'd have never met.
mm.
Oh, man, you're an idiot. Then there are people like the owners of FUBU, hell, Big Tigger, over at V103. I
Hmm.
mean, he's been one of the most humble, nicest guys ever, and he was on TV 7 days a week, BET's Rap City and 106th and Park, and the really the face of the hip hop culture for many, many years.
That's right.
And he's always been super humble. So I was fortunate in my younger days and my early 20s to come across guys like that to where it's like I'd never have a reason to have an attitude or an ego or to treat somebody
Mm.
any less than with anything short of respect, because I was able to watch guys at the height of their careers, cultural icons, be just as humble. So yeah.
So what would you say were the biggest takeaways for you from working in that type of environment, and how have those takeaways influenced what you do today?
Oh, the humility in it.
Mm.
Like, these dudes were humble, man, and they still are. Um, and it's there's a certain level of arrogance with being humble, and I think that's what people understand. That's what a lot of people don't get. You can really be so humble and so down to earth because you're so secure in what you do. I
Hmm.
know you can touch me. I don't have a reason to be an asshole to you.
Hmm.
What I do, you can only get from me.
Right.
And that's kind of the feeling and the vibe that you'll get from a lot of major successful people. Like, the most successful people really, really love to collaborate and share.
Mhm.
Those who don't, they know they have this fear of, ooh, I don't want to give up too much because then I'm gonna lose.
Oh, that's because they got a scarcity mindset. I teach that when I talk to leaders and people within the in leadership position within the industry. People have a scarcity mindset. It's like if you get some, I can't get none, and if you
I
get a piece of the
tell
pie,
people,
I
you don't have to lose in order for me to win.
exactly,
I don't have to lose in order for you to win. It
exactly,
is so much out here that we can all win, and we can win so big,
so big.
so big, and that's kind of the underlying theme or the underlying connector in all of our events that we do, because the events really benefit other artists more than they benefit us.
Mm,
I look at it like w- we're a neighborhood.
mhm.
I have a phenomenal house, my grass is cut and everything is well maintained, but all the property around me isn't, it's going to drop my property value.
Stanley. Look, I mentioned Stanley because I was watching Friday the other day.
Ah, yeah.
He had
So,
the Stanley's grass was immaculate and
every time.
every
So
time.
I felt like I have to do events and I have to do things
Mm,
to help everybody make their houses look better,
mm,
and bring up the property value for what we're doing, so I can get what I really want. Because I can't get what I really want amongst low hanging fruit. Because there's like you're the 6'10" high schooler. You're supposed to dominate. You're
right.
6'10" in high school. You're supposed to dominate. But let me dominate amongst other people in that same fashion.
Mhm.
So, and that, like that, to me, that's like that humble arrogance. Make all the contacts, perform. I want you to kill the show. I'm gonna cheer for you. Here's your flyer. I want you to be successful. I want you to win because I know what I'm bringing to the table. And my team is gonna shut it down.
Right.
So I don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing or how they're doing.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I think that if there was anything that I take away from any of my early situations, early career achievements or opportunities, that's definitely it, man. Be humble. Because the same people you see going up, the same people you're gonna see going down.
Oh, that is
Like,
that is so true.
and I think that today's generation, and I won't even say today's generation, I just say people today, period.
Mhm.
Not even a generational thing. We have gotten so arrogant in and the arrogance is rooted in likes and comments and followers
Oh my
and
god.
not real world work and accomplishments and resumes where, like, no, there are people who actually, I've heard podcasters and bloggers tell stories and give advice on shit that y'all wasn't even there. I know you wasn't in the room because I was in the room
Mm.
and you weren't one of the people in the room.
Posers.
So you can't actively give that type of advice because you're wrong.
Exactly.
And so I think a lot of people have this super false arrogance and bravado that they project now because they feel like that's the way they should be. And
Exactly.
really, most successful people aren't even like that.
They're not. And I think it's the social media persona that causes people to put on airs like that for them to be able to say, "Hey, look at me," and it probably is rooted in insecurity, right? If I had to really think about it, it's probably rooted in insecurity about how they feel about themselves and how they think other people perceive them, and that they have to perform in a certain way or look a certain way. Because if I don't look like I'm successful, then people probably aren't going to treat me a certain ways. Um,
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't like.
man, it's so cultural. It makes no sense. We can see a old white guy in some darker shorts and a polo shirt and some boat shoes and be like, oh, he a millionaire. We know he got money
Right.
because look, he don't even care how he look. Why can't that be about a black man?
True.
Why a black man can't be dressed down like that? And you look at him like, you know what?
Probably a millionaire. Yeah,
He probably a millionaire. No, it's broke ass. He
right.
ain't nothing. He ain't about nothing. I
Right.
I've lost
Well,
I've lost opportunities and deals and marketing money and stuff like that because of me being black
you know
in
why?
urban music is because I don't wear jewelry. I
Ex-
don't have chains.
that we know why, because
Yeah.
the culture has perpetrated this persona that says if you are a rapper or a singer or whatever within the music industry, you have to look a certain way. You have to have, because you rap about it. So you got jewelry, you got cars, you got women, you got this, you got that, the houses. And so these are the symbols of success
Mm.
within the music industry. And if you don't have those, then you must not be successful. But that same stigma is not based, is not imputed to other types of
No, at all. And
so
and I and I tell people all the time, I'm a record executive. Don't tell me I'm in hip hop. No, I'm a record executive.
right.
Like I have to correct people all the time. Don't be like, "Hey, OG, big bro, unk."
Big
So you would never say that to Clive Davis.
exactly.
You would never say that to Jimmy Iovine.
That's right.
You would never say that to any of them. Um, so
Oh,
don't don't do me that way because
mm,
that's your way of trying to age me out
right.
to assume that I'm not current or I don't know what's going on. But you'll listen to the 70-year-old white guy tell you what you need to do, and it's law.
Do you think it's because they're trying to find commonality? And they know that they don't necessarily have commonality with the old white guy, but they have commonality with somebody who looks like them that's in a executive position.
So yes, but that's one of the biggest problems. We're too
Mm,
casual.
mm,
It's entirely too casual. I think we use these pet names, bro, sis, homie, fam, to get people to let their guards down.
right.
And so when you are dealing with uh, a lot of non-black record executives, people in music, publicists, managers, they want to hang out with bro and sis and fam. They want to use all the cool names and OG and Unc and Auntie. They want to use all the cool names, but that paperwork ain't casual at all. They're gonna stick it to you every time. So let's I don't even want to be that casual. We're not friends like that. We haven't built that type of relationship. Derek, Mr. Derek, D, I'm fine with all of that. But I I always tell them, I say, I know they don't mean it in no form of
Mm,
disrespect, but not knowing that constantly calling black record executives OGs and unks and stuff, all you're doing is creating a space for them to say, well, let's go get this 25, 26-year-old kid. Then you got this 25, 26-year-old white kid whose dad is a lawyer at the firm, who
mm,
grew up privileged. Now that's the person that's dictating hip hop culture.
right. That sounds about right.
And so that's why I'm like, they don't want us around.
Mm.
Point blank. They don't because could you imagine if Chuck D became the CEO of Def Jam?
Oh,
Could you imagine if KRS One became the CEO of Sony or RCA?
oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't allow our artists who've had bad deals and who've grown and managed to survive and prosper and thrive. They don't allow them to become the heads of departments and labels. That way they can groom the next generation. Because then, like shit, they we will be aware of all the traps and pitfalls. That's why there's such an urgency to, oh, you're an old head. Oh, you just an OG. You don't understand us. But you're gonna listen to that 50-year-old white dude and think he do?
mm,
But because I'm 43 and black, I don't understand you. No. Like my aunt, I think my aunt Ophia, I think she's 64, 65, and she was singing Chris Brown's No Guidance.
mm,
So what people are missing that if we're celebrating the 50th year of hip hop, well, I guess that was last year.
yeah.
Now we're at 51 years of hip hop, of commercially released hip hop.
Right.
They said it actually started a few years before then. So
Mm,
let's just say we're at 55 years of hip hop. So that means there are a generation of people who have saw every single phase from Grandmaster Flash to Tupac to Biggie to Cool Mo D to Run DMC to Drake to Future to Young Jeezy. Nobody grew out of it.
Right.
They didn't stop listening to it. So why can't we take any of that wisdom to share?
Mm.
Let me explain it to you like this. The NBA, you know what's a story that you don't hear about nowhere near the way you used to? NBA players going broke.
Hmm.
For years, all you heard about, man, that money gonna be gone in 4 years.
Right.
They're gonna be broke.
That's because they know they were probably going to spend it on buying a house and cars and jewelry and
But you they don't talk about why that has changed. Now look at how many retired NBA players are coaches, general managers, presidents of basketball operations on the sidelines, in the front office, in
right.
the scouting. So now you have all of these black men who have been through those systems able to tell other black men how to move, what to do, and what not to do.
Mm.
Could you imagine if all our legendary rappers, Cool Mo D, KRS-One,
Mm.
Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool J, Chuck D, even on over to T.I. and Jeezy, if these guys were now in the offices overseeing the contracts and the deals that artists was getting.
See, that's the thing. They're not going to put them in positions of contracts and deals. They'll put them in positions of head of A&R
Yeah, with no signing power.
with no signing power because I mean, we're really being honest when it comes to the music industry, music business. I mean, that's right. There's a difference between industry and music business. There has to be some control that is still present at those levels so that they are still reaping the financial benefits off
It,
of people that they are, you know,
it's
perpetrating
it,
within the
it
culture
hip hop and R&B is the most streamed music on the planet,
planet. It's the most influential genre. Period.
and it's the most grossly underfunded genre. There's no way this genre of music could be used to sell cars, houses, books, movies, clothes, alcohol, food, restaurants, and thrive off of every new app, Clubhouse, NFTs. They didn't ask Justin Bieber to do NFTs. They didn't go to the Rolling Stones and ask him to get on Clubhouse. They went to all the black artists and the black executives to make it cool. But it's the most underfunded genre.
Hmm.
They can get the biggest return off the smallest investment. And we celebrate it and invite motherfuckers to the cookout.
Exactly.
And so we have to get to a much more cognizant space of why we're here in the music industry as black executives, as black artists, and understand like, man, we have to stop pushing our own out. We got to stop the narrative of younger artists will not listen to
Mm.
older artists, and older artists can't be bitter towards younger artists.
Right.
You know, younger artists today who are so arrogant about streams and like, it's the dumbest arrogance ever. Because I don't care how much you stream, you wasn't making as much money as Ja Rule selling 2 million CDs at Best Buy week one.
Never. Oh,
You
the
weren't. You'll never see that type of money.
was crazy.
So why would you not listen to these people? So it's yeah, man,
It's the wisdom before, right? So there's always learning there's always things that you can learn from the generation before that you can apply to what's happening today, right? So I heard the phrase old school rules with new school tools, right? So you take the advice that they're giving and figure out how it applies to what you're doing today. Like obviously they're successful in in their realm, in their era for a particular reason. So what can you glean from that and then apply it to what you're currently doing today?
I, I'm gonna say something very, very, very. It would be borderline controversial, right? It may ruffle some feathers.
Mhm.
The way the government had a systematic approach of removing the black father out of a home so they can then manipulate and control the black family is no different than what the music industry does to remove the black record executives out of the situation so they can manipulate and control black music.
Mm,
It's the same parallels, bro.
mm.
It's the same parallels.
Same parallels, and I can see those parallels and how they correlate, and for each other, because what they did for.
Master P is celebrated as this mogul millionaire,
Hmm.
and he's not the head and running any. The, you go and hire people with no experience to be the CEO because he was an A&R, as
Right.
opposed to the person who's made over $500 million
Mm,
doing for your company.
doing the actual. Mm,
Why do you not put him in that position?
mm,
That's proven. Is because they also know he's going to pull back the curtain and say, "No, no, I'm gonna
exactly.
show you all how to make this 500 million as well. I'm not just gonna take from you."
Okay, so then let me ask you, right? So you're saying that. Um, so let's take the example. Now, I don't. Of course, I was never in that situation, or in that environment, or in this particular example that I'm getting ready to give you. Uh,
Mhm.
But you remember the New Edition story? You saw.
Uh huh.
Okay, so remember when Michael Bivins Jazz came uh, into the meeting? It was like, hey, who are we supposed to be signed to? Like, what's going on? And Tank, uh, Babs is the character he played, the head of
Hmm.
the label at the time. So here's my question, right? So we had a black record executive that really wasn't being truthful and honest to the black artists that were supposed to be on his label. Um,
Who groomed and trained that black record executive on those business practices?
yeah, that was. But so okay, so you know how you grow up in a home. So let's take the example that I grew up in a home where my father's an alcoholic, right? Maybe this example probably does it. And so let's say I grew up in a home where my father's an alcoholic. I have two choices. I can either imitate his behavior when I become an adult, or I can change that behavior when I become an adult and do something different. Um, and that scene always stuck out to me. Like, here you got this black record executive who knows that New Edition is not signed to I think it was RCA, to RCA. He knows that, and he knows that the manager, he knows that they're signed to them, and he knows that they're robbing them in some way, and he didn't do anything about it. He just let it
It happened because,
happen.
unfortunately, obviously, I can't speak for them
Right, right.
and stuff, but you look at somebody like Barry Gordy, who was actually in control and was a check writer. The white guy that sat above that black record executive who allowed that manager to steal from them, the white guy was like, "Hey, this is how this deal is going to go.
Hmm.
This is how this will happen." And unfortunately, there's still a lot of that today.
Yeah.
I I pissed a lot of people off during the pandemic. We were on this music industry Zoom call with a bunch of record executives and music people from all over the country and stuff. And I told them, man, we don't need y'all to be black and righteous on Zoom. Do it in the boardroom. Do it when y'all are, because it's a lot of the records that everybody was complaining about that was damaging the culture. It was like, you work for the company. Did you not speak up in the meeting, or you didn't want to face any backlash and lose your job? So
Mm.
you whining to us does no good when you are one of the people in the room that could have at least put it on their minds.
Right.
At least say, hey, don't y'all know it doesn't look good to keep having these artists stand on the table with their shirt off holding money to their ear? And we don't, but you don't ever ask any white artists to do that.
I don't understand that. I don't get that. Every time I see it, I'm like, why are you doing that?
It's one of the biggest
Why you got to put on a show?
coon shows I've ever seen. And every time you see that, you just see a bunch of white people just smiling, bobbing their head like,
We about
damn, entertain us. Like, and it sucks, man. It sucks. It sucks.
So have y'all ever thought about starting a CBRE? Right. I'm sitting here making up acronyms in my name. CBRE, a coalition of Black record executives.
So there are a couple of things like that already,
Okay.
but here's just another.
Have like a code of conduct.
Well,
Um,
it's like a unfortunately it's like a bunch of black elitists
see,
who want to
what?
they wanted now that they're in a certain position now they're acting no different than the white counterparts. Like you started this to be able to close people off, or did you start this to be inclusive and open up the doors and create more resources for more people?
We
So,
can get
like
back.
with my event, the Loud Radio and Press Junket, every media outlet that attends, I know personally. SiriusXM, Pandora, BET, Source. Like I have personal relationships with each and every one. I could easily say, you know what, I'm just going to send them my artist music, or we can do this event and I can open it up to any artist in the world who want to come and meet these people and establish these relationships.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So people, a lot of our own people are we're visionaries up until the point we get what we want, and then we shut the door behind us.
that's right.
And a lot of the black record executives at the and it's a bittersweet thing at like with that massive layoff that happened this year.
Hmm.
A lot of those guys are the very same ones who like, oh man, your TikTok numbers got to be this, or the algorithm got to be that. I don't have time for a meeting where we're really looking for this. And so you did all of this to what? Lose your job.
Right. Yeah.
And I have to tell people like, you got fired from there. I can't get fired from Loud Music. We're having two totally different conversations.
Mm,
I'm a CEO talking to an employee.
hmm.
You don't see things the way I see it. You don't think about things the way I think about it. I don't care if you are an employee for a major corporation.
And even if here's the deal, even if you're an employee for a major corporation and you are vice president, CEO, you're still an employee.
You're still an employee. You're still an employee.
Yep.
And I think a lot of peers and a lot of friends who lost their job and we had many phone conversations with different people and it was like, you kind of if you maybe would have had some of the meetings you didn't take, if you'd have had those meetings and introduced some really viable situations, maybe you would have proven that you as a black record executive can really discover the next new talent as opposed to AI, as
Oh my gosh, that's.
opposed to algorithms.
Ooh. So let
So
me ask you this. So let
mm,
me. I didn't mean to interrupt your
no,
thought.
no, go ahead, go ahead. I'm on your show, man.
What impact do you think AI is going to have on independent music? Uh, uh, and the reason why I say that because there is an influx of AI music things that are coming out. I just ran across, and I got to do I got to do some type of video on this thing. An actual AI. It's in beta right now, but you can have no music experience. Type in a prompt. It will make the music, write the lyrics, and have the person rap or sing whatever you put into that system.
I,
And
I,
and 90% of what comes out actually sounds pretty good. Like I was
the the thing that's going to AI is going to hurt black music more than anything
in what way?
because they already don't respect it. They don't respect urban music because they feel like one producer can go in there with his laptop and a keyboard and it's done. But
Mm,
they don't, as opposed to the rock band, like, oh, we got such and such on drums and this person on the guitar and this person on bass and we got this engineer from the UK and we brought this person in and mastered from Miami.
right.
Rap records, hey, use this app and upload it to United Masters and you can mix it online and there you go.
With Lander, and then you're good. You
They
know,
they we already don't get the credit of it being as artful as it is. But also over the past few years, they've allowed so many artists just to put out records that aren't properly mixed and mastered, that isn't showing any real talent or lyricism or concepts or anything, any level of substance. Even if it's a a club record or a trap record or whatever, at least let it be quality street music,
Mm,
quality club music. Now it's just like whoever they're making blog music, they're making music for podcasts,
mhm,
whatever whoever can put the most controversial topic or lyric in a song,
mhm,
that's what they're shooting for. And then they wonder why hip hop sales were down 37% in 2023.
right.
If you look at all the artists who quote unquote went viral on TikTok, all of their tours got canceled.
Mm,
There was no major shows. What new young viral artist is on a headlining tour? There aren't any. So it's we keep falling for the smoke and mirrors, and of every new technology is tested out in black music.
yeah, of course. I mean, because if it works here and it pushes the way it's supposed to and generates the results that it's supposed to, then we know it's going to work. It's kind of like that old adage: if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
But see, I wouldn't even say that they'll know it's going to make it work. We're going to make it so cool and so popular, and we're so influential. They want us to make it cool so their kids can go spend money.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is that they're not going to take that risk and put it into country or rock.
They don't want to damage it.
Exactly, they don't want to damage it, right? So so when I say things like they're going to see how to make it work, it's like we need to put it over here first, and if it doesn't work, they know it's what off our back. It
You
just
know,
did, right? We'll blame the culture, we'll blame whatever. But if we try to implement this within pop music with Taylor Swift or um,
no, we ain't gonna put a stain on her name.
yeah,
And it's like with NFTs, you're trying to convince an underfunded community you're trying to convince them to study and understand blockchain technology and distro and
they just want to.
using Bitcoin and using all of these cryptos to purchase music and own rights and digital rights to this and that. And I'm like, if they're struggling selling a 99-cent download on iTunes with actual money, how do you figure that they're going to have access to Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency and understand the blockchain?
Mm,
Like it just did not make sense. And now it's a whole bunch of people who own NFTs who spent millions of dollars on worthless digital nothing.
mm,
And so oh man, it's frustrating. It gets really frustrating as a CEO of a record company, man, because you want to do so much for your people, you want to do so much for your culture, and you don't want to be one of the people who contribute to the demise or the damage of so many impressionable youths.
mhm,
And it's a it's not enough of us fighting it.
mm.
It's just not like it's just
Yeah, I feel you, brother. I feel your sentiments, your pain when it comes to that, because I know you have a heart for independent music artists and for people doing the right thing and getting their just due, and ensuring that they're elevated and positioned in the way that they're really supposed to be. So I definitely connect with that and feel every ounce of that, because that's kind of like our platform. Why I started We Create Music TV was to provide a platform so that independent music creatives could have access to resources to help grow their music career, to be successful, to be able to say, okay, I don't understand about sync licensing. So let me go to a place where I can learn that from. Oh, I don't understand about publishing, but they just did a whole, seminar on or a 5-part series on music publishing. Like I want this platform to be the go-to resource for anything that's related to the education of the independent music creatives. Um, and so I feel you. For myself personally, I think there's systems set up in place that keeps people from obtaining the knowledge that they truly need to be
definitely.
and one of those systems that I think that is set up, and it's going to sound so weird, that I think is a system that's set up is this obsession with getting the bag. Like I
Yeah,
the bag is a roadblock for people's educational obtainment. Like, oh, I don't want to know how to do that. I just got to get the bag. I don't want to know how to do that. I got to just go get the bag. And then they get a bag or whatever it may be, and then they don't really learn
you
everything.
know why I'm always chasing it because you never learned a skill set to be able to. get it and maintain it and make it work for you.
That's right. So you always got to chase the bag instead of, saying, okay, I'm gonna put these, methods in place, these processes in place, these strategies in place so that I can then not just get the bag, but also make that bag work for me and to generate more bags, right?
More bags, more opportunities. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree totally.
Okay, so let me ask you this because I have a whole bunch of questions. And that was a dope conversation. I do like that. Um, so you've talked about systematic racism before, right, within the music industry, where we've
Mhm.
kind of been talking about it. Um, how has how is that currently impacting? Maybe it's kind of some of the same things we just talked about. Um, impact your experiences with the artists that you're working with within loud music.
Oh, I've been asked. I've been told the brothers don't want to really want to hear love music, man. We want to hear the street shit by white radio executives. I've been told that I was told by a major label maybe I should get one of the local dope boys to co-sign and stamp and get behind us, man, and put some money in and get us some chains and stuff by another white executive. I've been told had a meeting with a major another major label walked in the meeting and they was like, no gold grill, no styrofoam cups. I thought H Town was all about that. I was like, either you love the culture or you think all black people do that.
Ooh.
And so it's one of them things. And that whole get the bag notion of everybody put in their serious inquiries only, got to be cash app ready, got to have bag in hand. Dope boys messed up the music industry for us
Mm,
because they would get behind low level talent so they can live the rapper lifestyle and throw their money around.
mm,
So all the service providers want to charge everybody as if they have dope money. And then
right,
they want to say this person got motion or this person is pressure. No, it's because they're buying 10 bottles in your club and the DJ is getting paid. So you have to say that about those people. And then 6 to 8 weeks of doing that, it don't work, or somebody gets arrested or killed, or none of the music is ever jamming, and then they move on to the next.
right,
And so when you go to the DJ, they're expecting you to do what they did. They so that forces a lot of people to feel like, you know what? I need to sell dope. I gotta scam. I gotta strip. I gotta go to OnlyFans. That's the only way I can get that quick, fast money to be able to fund my career.
mm. It's quick, fast money.
And,
What?
and because the things that they ask of us, they'll see a blonde haired, blue eyed white girl playing the guitar at a bus stop, and there's a $3 million budget waiting on her because of her potential to be America's sweetheart.
Mm,
They last year I got on the phone with a bunch of major DJs around the country, major magazine owners, and I asked them, I was like, with indie artists, everything that y'all tell us to do, tour, sell your merchandise, pass out flyers, network with the DJs, post on social media. What artist that has been signed in the past 5 to 6 years did all of those things and then got the deal?
right,
The most current reference that everybody was giving me was the baby, the baby. I was like, yeah, but the baby is signed to some guys who are already in the major label system. They handled the radio for the major labels. Then there was another element of an influx of cash from sources. So it's like everything that they tell us to do, nobody ever ends up. Ice Spice didn't do it. Glorilla didn't do it. Sexy Red didn't do it. Um, NBA YoungBoy didn't do it. Um, Kodak Black didn't do it. Uh, None of the artists that did any of those things that they ask us to do.
right. So then, right. So that's always the proof, right? So if you're running like data tests and algorithms, and you're looking for proof, you don't just go off the first. It can't just be one. It can't just be one artist that has done this and then say, "Well, look, it worked." Yeah, it worked for one artist, but you know that that probably is an outlier of how this particular tactic work for maybe that one person, but if you can take that same tactic and it works for 30 people, then okay, we can say it works, right? Because
Yeah.
now you can plug anybody into that system and it should work for anybody. But if it's only one person, mm, yeah, I got to go back and kind of look at the validity of of that.
And I just don't understand why is it that black artists we got to get on playlists, we got to get on blogs, we got to go to media, we got to do a, and you don't hear any of that for country artists.
Mm.
You don't hear any of that for indie rock, top 40, house, EDM, pop, Tejano. Like no, there's no, they don't. None of those genres have any of those conversations, and they want to say the labels don't do artist development no more. Yes, they do. They just don't do it for black artists.
Mm.
It's like you gonna rap, you can make a beat in your closet and take your shirt off, and you got dreads, and then we got a video. We want you to sound ignorant on Instagram so we can monetize it and make you go viral. Like,
Mm.
but why do you think they got all these writing camps and song camps and vocal camps in Nashville with all of these country singers, and then they're going on tour opening for major like it's artist development.
So so Jermaine Dupri talked about that, right? He talked about I saw a video clip of him talking about artist development and how artist development he, if if I
It
can
was
remember,
the job of the boutique labels.
was that all at the boutique labels, right? Like So Def, and labels like that. It was never really like at Sony. But I guess the ultimate question was it never at Sony or RCA for black artists? I mean, because when you think about Motown, right? Motown was all about development,
Uh
right?
huh.
They were strong with development. Um, and as a person who likes to develop other people, um, for myself, you have to sit back and think about, well, is artist development truly is it truly dead? Or do people just not care about artist development? Because in the process of artist development, I got to tell you things that you probably don't want to hear. I got to have you do things and shape up your appearance and get you to, you know, so as an example, right? With Motown, Barry Gordy and his crew would actually train people on how to give interviews.
Hmm.
Right? We don't do that no more. We go to interview, we're like, yeah, I'm just here to talk about all nobody really knows the art of interviewing. And they
We
don't part of
we
that.
do that at Loud Music. No, at Loud Music we do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's really supposed you have an artist and they're on your label. That's what you should be doing as part of their development. Companies do it.
But here's the thing, though, bro. Here's the thing, because they monetize our ignorance.
Mm,
When that person does that blog and they're in there acting crazy and saying whatever, and it just sounds outlandish, why do you think they always find the most ratchet black person to tell the story of what they saw on the news?
mm. That's true too.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh,
it's no different than that.
it's like they were looking at them like, I need you to come over here and tell this story. You all me
Everybody gonna run to it and watch it, and they're gonna talk about it. And so it's their way of getting all the marketing and coverage that they want to get without having to spend the marketing dollars for it.
right. Wow. Wow. That is true. I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. Man, so phew, Derek, I got a lot of questions, brother. Lots of lots of questions over here.
This is gonna be like a two-part interview, man.
Probably, but I do got a bunch of questions. So okay, so let's talk about artist. We're talking about artist development. Let's talk about artist management, right? So specifically, this question here is I wrote as the manager of artists like Zero, Lil Flip, Fat Pimp, right? What unique challenges and rewards come with managing such diverse talents, and how do you tailor your approach to fit each artist?
Well, I no longer manage Zero. We parted ways in January.
Oh, okay.
Um, Flip and Fat Pimp, it's easy.
What do you mean?
They're good people. Management is a struggle when you're trying to manage somebody who's just not a genuinely good person.
Hmm.
We can't expect great business out of mediocre or below average human beings. And I think that's one of the biggest things about artist management is you're gonna make the least amount of money. You're gonna deal with you got to be willing to put up with the bullshit from that artist because certain things just come with the territory. But you know that this person definitely gonna have your back and has your best interests. And so me and Fat Pimp, we talk 5, 6, 7 times a day on the phone
Okay.
about kids, recipes, music, sports.
Mm-hmm.
So we genuinely want to see each other win. So it's not a case where you're the manager, what you gonna do for me? He's one of those artists that be like, I want to make sure my manager make $2 million.
Mm.
Because he's smart enough to know if he makes sure his manager makes $2 million, I mean he made 10 or 15 or
Sure.
to where other artists will be like, you better not make 2 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're only limiting yours.
Right.
So, um, Flipper's a great human being. He's a good person,
Mm.
humble. He knows how to talk to people. He's always going to he's always going to be a champion for people. You know what I'm saying? He's always going to be the people's champ. He's always going to be one of those artists that are approachable, that will smile, want to take the picture, want to sign the autograph, want to do the meet and greet. So it's easy, man. It's easy.
So how did that happen? How did you connect with Lil Flip? And what led to and it could be whether it's Lil Flip or Fat Pimp, but what led to those meetings and the decision to say, hey, you know what? Yes, I'll
So
walk being a
I
manager.
actually worked on Lil Flip's single "I Can Do That" many many years ago.
Okay.
And some friends of mine in the Midwest, Judy Jones in Cincinnati, Ohio, my guy X in Cleveland, Ohio, my guy Dorian Washington in Kentucky, and he's one of the biggest record executives in the music industry right now.
Mm,
They were all promoting the record, and they was like, "Man, Derek, watch what we finna do with this song out here. It's gonna be one of the biggest records in the country," and it happened. Fast forward many many years later, I think it was 2020. Yeah, right at December 2020, Flip called me. He was like, "Hey man," or he texted me. I just fired my manager. I need new management. You're the only person I could think of that's professional enough.
mm, mm,
Hey, and I was like, "Well, man, shit. Let's have a conversation. Let's figure it out. Let's do it." And we met. I want to say it was like literally New Year's Day or like that next day, the second. Put a contract together, shook hands, and
rest
been
is
rocking since. Yeah. Fat Pimp, I worked with him on another project, another album from a label he was signed to. And we just got really cool. And him and Tim Ned started doing music together. And it never was a conversation of, hey, Pimp, you want to be over here with us? Or do you want it? It was just like, hey, man, whatever you need me to do, I got you.
mm,
Hey, Pimp, you do this. Hey, Pimp, you should do that. Hey, let's go over here and do this. Hey, let's get this show. And it just kind of naturally grew into that relationship of, bro, I think you should be an artist on Loud Music and let's do this Art of Ratchet project with you and Tim Ned. And now we're developing his solo album.
mm,
And
mm,
it was never no it's always, especially with Pimp, it's always just been like a genuine, I need to see you win and you need to see me win.
mm.
Like, so it's,
I mean, that should kind of be the approach, right? That should be the mindset in the beginning. Yeah,
yeah, it should be. It should be.
I need you to win. Because you're on my side to help me win. And if I want you to win, you should reciprocate that to so that I win, we all win.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why artists when they get into those situations where they ask someone to be their manager, they want to nickel and try to nickel and dime percentages. You know, why can't you can't get now I get it, right? Because you do have some agencies that are out there that try to manage people. Hey, I need 50%. Like, whoa, wait a minute, 50%.
But you know what? Today, I don't blame them
Yeah,
because you know why? You know what managers are doing today? See, everybody's position has evolved and
Everything.
pay has evolved, but they still want managers to be at that small percentage. When managers are brokering deals,
Mm.
brand ambassador deals, endorsement deals, licensing deals, they're running social media campaigns, they're running ads, they're doing marketing, they're booking shows,
Shows exactly.
but you still want me to just get this bit.
Right.
Now, if I'm just taking the 1960s, 1970s style of management and I just handle you day to day, and the record label and everybody else does everything else, totally get it.
Totally get it.
But when you want me to wear 9 hats, don't pay me for one,
Right.
pay me for 9 hats.
I get
Because
that.
you're not gonna go do 10 shows for a promoter and he get to pay you one time.
Right. Oh no, trust me.
Yeah,
I get that. And I think a lot of artists today want a manager to do all of those to help them get to a certain level because they don't have those things in place now,
yeah.
right? Like,
They don't want to work. They don't want to put the work in themselves.
so let me hire you to do all the work, but I don't want to hire you to do the work at this percentage.
Yeah, and I not even I want to hire you and pay you. I want you to come do the work, make me money, and then you take a cut of what you earn.
Let me tell you a story. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna say no names because if you ever see this, I don't want to. Like I ain't saying no. I just ain't gonna throw them under the bus like that with this one. But I was asked to manage an artist. We got all the paperwork done, right? Drew up all the paperwork, talked about percentages. I actually had to call because he didn't believe me. I actually had to call a manager, an artist manager that I knew. I got her on the phone. You know her. Um, I ain't gonna say her name, but I know you know her because, um, yeah. And I had to get her on the phone to explain to him how a manager works and what a manager does. And she was like, "Look, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like, I've known." She's like, "I've known Brian for a while. What you want him to do, you're gonna have to pay him to do that. Like, that's what managers. You're asking him to do all these things. He's gonna have to be able to do. You're gonna have to pay him accordingly. So you trying to nickel and dime him from these percentages is not gonna work, especially if you're asking him to do all these." I literally had to call her on the phone. Like, look, can you talk to this? And so and so, yeah, I had somebody say, if that was the case, then why did you end up managing that? Managing? It's like, yeah, I did. And it's like, well, why did you if you knew he was trying to nickel and dime you um, in the beginning? And I said because I still saw the potential in that person. Uh,
That's where we mess up at.
yeah, yep. It was one of those. I still saw the potential.
I've thrown potential out the window.
Mm, gotta go. I
I started approaching artists the way major labels approach us. I I'm going through my checklist of everything. Are you doing this? Is this done? What are your numbers here? What are you generating already? What is this? Because I know how much time and energy and effort I have to commit to the process. And my career can't be your hobby. And I think for a lot of artists, man, they want you to believe in their potential and they want you to invest in their dream. That's the other thing. Your manager is not your investor.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? But a lot of artists just don't get that. A
Yeah.
lot of artists just don't get that.
I don't think that they just don't understand the concept of what a manager truly does. Um, but once again, that's music. That's music
Right.
business.
But you know what? I don't fault anybody for getting in bad management contracts or bad deals because you guys, all these artists, they can go on YouTube, go to YouTube University and figure out how to
Yeah,
produce, and you can use every app, and you can figure out. You can tell me everything I'm doing and I'm not doing. You can figure all of this stuff out, but you can't figure out how to read your contract or study or pick up a book to figure out what a management does, what a manager does, what a publicist does, what a distributor does, what
that's
a
called
publishing admin
exactly.
does. But you were wronged.
YouTube University can give you a lot of stuff. So there was a time when I thought I was gonna start a record label, right? And I researched all types of stuff. And then when I got to that point, I reached out to a lawyer, an actual real lawyer, right? And not one of these like, oh, I'm on YouTube and I'm a lawyer, or no, like an actual real lawyer. And we walked through the whole process of drawing up what this was going to look like from a record label. Now, granted, the record label never really got off the ground to where it was. So, did I put money into it? Yeah. Did it get to where it's supposed to? No. Um, but it was a learning experience because I think that's what artists, music creatives need to do. Because if you can go out and you can buy that Jordan, you can go out and you can spend all that money on weed. If you can go out and spend that money on clubs and popping bottles or whatever you do, you better take that $300 and go get that lawyer and have that lawyer read that contract and provide
Yep.
you the insight that you need to handle your business.
Yep.
People just don't do it.
No.
And it's priorities, and so they want to make it. They just have the wrong priorities. They want to look successful, right? Once again, they want to look successful without actually doing the things to be successful. And that's to me, that's 100% crazy.
A million percent crazy.
100% crazy. Like, yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Um, okay, so let me ask you a couple more questions. So we talked about Barry Gordy before, right? Um, and so for yourself, I know that you have um, likened yourself to Barry Gordy, to
Mhm.
Simmons. So looking forward, there's a question I was thinking about. So looking forward, what are some specific goals that you aim to achieve that might parallel to the legacies of people like Barry Gordy and Russell Simmons?
So I have a long way to go to be able to be parallel with those guys. But I know like right now in the immediate future, our plan is to have all four of our new releases to all hit the Billboard charts this year independently.
Mm,
Every one of our albums will be submitted for the 2025 Grammy Awards in the categories they're supposed to be in. Um, and for us as an indie label, that's like just helping us inch closer to the finish line of where we're trying to get. So if we can be an independent label where every one of our artists hit the Billboard charts this year, check. Every one of our artists have Grammy submissions, and maybe we get a nomination, maybe we don't, but we know what we're shooting for.
mm,
Um, Last year in 2023, every one of our artists' music debuted and premiered on radio across the country, Sirius XM radio. They all have videos on BET, MTV, Revolt, and Music Choice. So it kind of goes to what you said earlier. I'm showing that it's the system that works, and it's not, oh, this song caught fire and it was just that song. I'm showing the consistency, bro. And I think that consistency has become a lost art, and it's being consistently great has become a lost art.
mm,
People will take one great moment and consistently talk about it and ride off that instead of consistently being great every single time.
mm,
And so I really want to be consistently great. I want to be because some people can be consistently average. Consistent is a flex, but you've been doing the same thing. So yes, you're consistent. I get it, but you've been consistently mediocre
right.
and has not evolved, and you have not grown in the game. So
Mm,
I want to consistently be great in everything that we do. So, and I figure like, hey, I got to widen the gap. I don't, I don't want, I don't want nobody to feel like they can do what we're doing. You, I call myself a record company. You can't call yourself a record company because you're not doing what we're doing.
mm,
And it's not on anybody to give us anything or create. That pressure falls 100% on us to be way better than what we work harder, work way harder than what we're working, create way better music than what we thought we were creating. And if we could, once we accomplish a few of those things and
mm,
hit the Billboard charts, and if we hit the Billboard charts, then we've affected some of the streaming charts. And now we're able to move around the country more, and with the relationships that are already intact, we'll be able to amplify those accomplishments.
mm,
So I want to create icons in order for me to even be considered in the realm of your Barry Gordy's or Russell Simmons or Clive Davis's or L.A. Reid, I have to introduce an icon to the world.
mm.
Once I introduce an icon, then I can take my seat amongst them. But I'm I'm chasing it, and I'm running a race. I think a lot of times, I think too often people will see things what we're doing, and they're like, "Oh man, oh y'all are doing this, y'all are doing that." The
Right.
hard struggle for me is like I'm always seeing what we're not doing. I'm
Mm.
not even grateful for what we are doing, but man, that shit keep me up at night.
Yeah. Does that motivate you and push you harder when
Oh
you're
yeah,
looking at the things that you're not doing?
oh yeah, because like I said, I'm super competitive, and I want to be, man. When I say I want to be the greatest ever,
Mm.
I want to be the greatest ever. I don't want to be compared to nobody.
Right.
I don't want to. I don't want nobody to, oh, you know who you remind me of? If I can remind you of somebody, I ain't do it. Nobody has ever told Michael Jordan, you know who you remind me of?
You remind me of LeBron. No,
You know, Nobody,
like,
uh, nobody has ever told Prince, Prince, you know who you remind me of?
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Beyonce, she'll get the Tina Turner comparison, but I think she's already surpassed that.
that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't want Derrick McKinney to remind you of it.
Mm. You want to leave your own stamp.
And that's 100% on me. That's on me. It's nobody's job or responsibility to do any of that for me. It's for me to bust my ass and do the work to prove that I deserve to be in that spot.
Right. Now you're 100% right about that. I think that's the the mindset that artists need to have. That they need to be like, okay, and if I'm really going to be successful at this, I need to put all I can into it.
Yeah.
I can, and if they don't, then you know it's like
It's a waste of time, man.
waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
The music industry is not something you can do part time or be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Man, you got to give your all.
All you got to give you all. It's now if you're doing it for a hobby because you just enjoy music, right? Like so, as an example, like I do music, well, I don't do music production. I like making music.
Yeah.
Right? There was a time when I thought I was gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a really big music producer," blah blah blah. Nope, not because I had to realize my own gifts and talents and say, you know what, that probably isn't. I have better skill. Well, I want to say better. I have better skills than doing that. I have actually public speaking skills and leadership skills and training skills and communication. I have like a whole slew of skills that are better spent doing something else than just sitting behind, a beat machine making beats.
Yeah.
So I think we have to assess what we're really good at and then walk in that so that we could be um, helpful to others we may come across and to also leave our own stamp. So yeah. So let me ask you that last question. Last question. What advice would you give to young artists and entrepreneurs who want to make their mark? And it's probably what we just it's probably the same things we just did. Consistency. But is there anything else that you could probably tell them that maybe would spark their creativity or spark their ambition to be successful or effective uh, in this music industry?
I don't think I would have anything to say to spark it. Um, man, so this is like, and I don't want to sound like this asshole guy or anything like that, but I gotta motivate you to do what you say you want to do. It's not for you.
Mm,
If you got to have a pep talk to be great, you're not meant to be great.
mm,
Like I don't think I really I really had an eye opening moment, man, diving into the books, Relentless by Tim Grover and Winning by Tim Grover. And it just, the confirmations came from left and right all throughout the book. And I was able to identify so many traits in myself that I was like, okay, I knew I wasn't the only person who felt this way. I knew I wasn't the only person that believe it's all or nothing. I know that this is what it takes to be the greatest ever, and I understand, and I'll suffer the consequences of what may come with it. But I also want to make sure we enjoy the victories and the spoils of war that have come from it. Um,
Right.
and one of the things that I've always said, like, man, if you need a rah rah speech to get you up for the big game, you weren't there. Like, um, I had a conversation. I used to tell my kids when they were much younger. They're old now. 18 and 23. Um,
Yes. Hey, that's the same. Well, close to the same age as mine.
so I would tell them, I was like, man, understand what your blessings are. Your blessings aren't the house or the car or the money. The your blessing is very, 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 very simple.
Mm,
You woke up.
you could breathe.
Everything else from there is up.
Open them eyes.
And and what do you do when you've been blessed with such a great opportunity? You give thanks.
Give
And
thanks.
the way you give thanks for that blessing is you maximize every second you have in that day.
Right.
And when you do that, hopefully you're fortunate enough to be blessed with another day. And too often we think the blessings are the rewards that come from what we do.
Hmm.
No, that's just a byproduct.
Hmm.
Like, it's not lucky. It's not like, oh, you're fortunate, you're blessed. No, I worked for it. I busted my ass to give thanks for having another 24 hours to go after what I want to do. And so if you're not waking up willing to bust your ass and go all out just to give thanks for having another opportunity to do it, there's nothing I could tell you.
Mm.
You're not even doing it for you.
Yeah, and
So
you can't do it for somebody else. That is, yeah, you can't do it for somebody else. You can't do, and what I mean by that is you can't say, "Well, I need to really do this because I need to do it for my kids. I need to do it for my spouse," or and that they can be motivational factors, but if you don't have that intrinsic motivation,
it's just gotta be in you. It gotta be this.
that's right.
Like we, me and my wife's annual trip is the Grammy Awards, right? And get dressed up, go. She knocks them dead every year, right? I'm just an ornament. She's a whole tree, right? I'm just there.
Same way.
And, but she look at me. She's like, "What you thinking?" Because as I'm watching, I'm like, "Mm." And I remember not this past Grammys, but the Grammys before. So I want to say 2022. We were sitting, and I could see the table where is Jay Z and Beyonce, Adele and Rich Paul. And I
Mm,
see Stout coming over. Most people would have been so elated and excited, be like, "Look how close I am."
right.
Me, it killed me
Mm,
because I was so close, but I'm so far.
right.
Like, I'm so far from being able to sit at that table.
Mm.
Most people would celebrate because they're in the room. Fuck this room. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That table. I'm
that's
not at that table. I could
so.
room that you could be in the Raptors and still be in the room, but I'm not at that table though. That's the difference.
And so it, man, and so she, like, I can be watching some on TV or driving. She'd be like, "What you thinking?" And I'm always trying to figure out, like, how how do I get over the hump? What's the next step? How do I dominate the game? How do I make sure nobody can repeat anything that we're doing? How do I take who we are to the next level?
Right.
And this is the very long answer to the last question was, I've gotten to a selfish space to where if I have to, if you don't already have that, I don't want you around me.
Mm,
I don't, if you don't have that for yourself, I don't need you
yeah.
because I put more pressure on me. I can't put that pressure on me. And you want me to talk me? No.
Nah.
So any young executive or artist or musician, if they're not willing to lose it all to be great, then it's not it's not for me. You're not the type of artist for me. You're not the type of person for
Mm.
me. If your life doesn't depend on this,
If you don't want it as bad as you want to breathe,
yeah, pretty much, man. Like
right?
my,
Right.
my life, my life depends on this every day,
Hmm.
every day. I
Life,
keep
it depends
can't
on.
do it, don't.
That's right, man. Derek, like even though you say you ain't giving no spark, that right there is a spark. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, wait a minute, I think I got it. And that's the thing, right? You shouldn't want anybody else to be like, "Hey, man, I think you can do it today, right now. I think you got it. Come on, brother. I think you can." Be like, you know what? Yeah, yeah. It kind of reminds me, and I'll give this example of how it's in you, right? It has to be in you because can't nobody else put it in you. So, it's a 100% true story. It is based upon the gentlemen who were on the flight United 93. Uh, was it yeah, I think it was United 93. Um, because they made a whole movie about this thing, right? And so you have the guy who the main guy, he was a big fat kid, right? He always liked to sit and eat chips and play video games. And one day he was talking to his friends, and it was in the movie. He was talking to his friends. He was like, "Yeah, I could probably do that." And the friends was like, "No, you can't. Like you sit here and eat chips and do this all day." And the friend was like, "I'm about to prove it." And my man went out and got swole and lost all that weight, and he joined the military and became raw, right? And so they ended them on the plane. And so when the terrorist attack took place, he was trained. He knew what to do because it was already in him. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, "You don't think I can do this? I could." And he went out and he smashed it. But it has to be something that's already in you, right?
Yeah,
I always tell people you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
yeah.
If it ain't
That's
if it ain't in you, it ain't in you. You see it as a hobby, that's exactly what's gonna be.
man. Listen, when my feet hit the floor in the morning,
That's right. You ready to go.
that's just the again. If you don't have that type of desire and commitment to go after what you said you wanted to go after, and that's what I tell artists all the time. I didn't come to you and say, "Hey, I
You
think
said
you should be an artist." Like, no, no, no. You came to me and said, "This is what you want to do." And my son plays football, and I would tell him like, "You came to me and said you wanted to play football." So now we all in.
right.
Yes, you got to train. Yes, you got to do this. Yeah, because this you said this is what you wanted to do. Now, if you're not serious about it, cool, leave me alone.
Yep.
But
Bring it back
I
up.
know how to approach a dream one way,
Right.
and that's all in. I
Oh,
don't know. I don't know how to approach a dream half-ass.
right. Look. You got that's a shirt. You got to get a shirt all in, but you got to get a shirt. You got to get a shirt that says humble arrogance.
Yeah,
That's
definitely, man, definitely.
sure.
When I get it, I'm gonna send you one.
Hey, hey, I'll take it. I'll wear it right here on the show, just like this. Boom.
Yeah,
Like you want one of these shirts? Boom. You got to go to Derek over at Loud Music to get this. But
yeah.
man, Derek, brother, it has been a blessing to reconnect with you, to see you again, and
Likewise, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I greatly appreciate it, man. One day I had to get you back on here. I had to get Fat Pimp on here one day. A little flip, once I work my way up to those caliber of, you
Hey,
know,
man, all you gotta do is just tell me when, man. I get those guys on. That's not
sure, man. Absolutely, I appreciate you, brother.
everybody got new music coming, so they need to do these rounds anyway.
That's right. You got to do the circuit, but so man, let me close this out. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much again for tuning in to the Indie Unplugged, right? We take a deep dive, giving you the gems, the nuggets, the resources, the tools to help you have a successful career, to maximize your potential to its fullest. So thank you very much for tuning in. Once again, we have Mr. Derrick McKinney, CEO, founder of Loud Music. Derrick, thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great day, evening, whenever you watch it. Peace.